Slide 1, Structured Q&A. This slide introduces a set of 10 well-organized question and answer pairs. These pairs are based on the provided content, ensuring clarity and relevance to the topic at hand. The structured format aims to facilitate understanding and provide straightforward answers to commonly asked questions. Slide 2, Learning Objectives. This slide outlines the 4 key learning objectives. 1. Manufacture of food, understanding how plants produce their own food through photosynthesis, using energy from sunlight. 2. Heterotrophic adaptations, exploring the adaptations and evolutionary traits of plants that rely on heterotrophic nutrition. 3. Soil importance, recognizing soil as an essential resource for plant growth and learning about the need to conserve it. 4. Self-assessment, a recap through self-assessment activities to evaluate understanding at the end of the chapter. Slide 3, Understanding the Biosphere. The slide addresses a key question from the chapter. Q2, what is the biosphere described as in the context of the chapter? The biosphere is described as a self-sustaining and self-regulating system on Earth. This highlights the interconnected nature of life forms and ecosystems that support and maintain life on the planet. Slide 4, Sustaining Life on Earth. This slide explains 2 fundamental points about how life on Earth is sustained. 1. All life on Earth depends on the sun as the primary source of energy. 2. The sun's energy flows through ecosystems, passing from one organism to another via food chains, supporting the interconnected web of life. Slide 5, Definition of food chain. This slide answers the question, Q4, what is a food chain? A food chain is the sequence through which energy is transferred from one organism to another in the form of food. It highlights the linear flow of energy within an ecosystem, showcasing how organisms are interconnected as consumers and producers. Slide 6, Producers in the food chain. This slide highlights the role of producers in the food chain. 1. Producers, green plants. Green plants use the sun's energy to manufacture their own food through the process of photosynthesis, serving as the foundation of the food chain. 2. Energy from the sun. The sun's energy is harnessed by plants to produce nutrients, which are then passed along the food chain to support all other life forms. Slide 7, Trophic Levels Explained. This slide explains the concept of trophic levels within the food chain. 1. Each level in the food chain is referred to as a trophic level. 2. Organisms at each trophic level depend on those at the level below them to meet their energy needs by consuming organisms lower in the food chain. This illustrates the hierarchical structure of energy flow in ecosystems. Slide 8, Role of primary consumers. This slide answers the question, Q7, what role do primary consumers play in the food chain? Primary consumers feed on producers, such as green plants, to obtain energy. These organisms are essential in transferring energy from producers to higher levels of the food chain. Slide 9, Tertiary consumers in ecosystems. This slide addresses the role of tertiary consumers in the food chain. What is the role of tertiary consumers in the Arctic ecosystem food chain shown in the diagram? Tertiary consumers, also called top predators, are at the apex of the food chain and feed on intermediate predators or secondary consumers. This highlights their critical role in maintaining the balance of ecosystems by controlling the population of lower trophic levels. Slide 10, Organizing organisms in food chains. This slide explains how organisms are categorized within food chains. 1. Categories for organizing organisms: producers, first-order consumers, secondary consumers, intermediate predators, primary consumers. 2. Food chain organization. These 5 categories provide a structured approach to understanding the relationships between organisms in an ecosystem, illustrating how energy flows through various levels. Slide 11, Food items and plant connection task. This slide outlines a student activity to understand the connection between food and plants. 1. List food items. Students are asked to list 3 food items they consume from each of the 5 food groups. 2. Create arrow diagram. Students create an arrow diagram to support the statement, food comes from plants. Even the food that we get from animals can be traced back to plants because they eat plants. Connect food to plants. The task emphasizes linking all food, including animal derived products, back to plants as the ultimate source of energy and nutrients. Slide 12, conclusion and next steps. This slide wraps up the session and provides an opportunity for feedback. 1. Question. Would you like to proceed with the next set of content or request any modifications to the current material? It invites input to ensure the presentation aligns with the intended goals and audience needs.